Sorry for interrupting. Sorry for asking. Sorry for taking up space. If you catch yourself apologizing before you've even done anything wrong, this video is going to explain something about you that most people never think to look at. Because over-apologizing isn't a politeness habit, it isn't humility, and it definitely isn't a personality quirk. It's a signal. And once you understand what it's actually saying, you'll never hear yourself say sorry the same way again. Most people who apologize too much don't realize they're doing it. It shows up in small ways. Sorry for texting. Sorry for asking a question. Sorry for having an opinion. Sorry for existing in a space where someone else might be slightly inconvenienced. And the apology comes fast, before there's any sign of a problem, before anyone is even upset. That speed is the first clue. Because a real apology happens after something goes wrong, but an anxious apology happens before, as a way of preventing something from going wrong. It's not about the other person at all. It's about managing what might happen if the other person reacts badly. Here's what's actually going on underneath it. When someone grows up in an environment where other people's emotions were unpredictable, where a wrong word, a wrong tone, or a wrong moment could shift the entire atmosphere, they learn to scan constantly. They learn to read the room before they enter it. They learn to shrink before anyone asks them to. And they learn that a quick apology can soften almost any situation before it escalates. That worked as a survival strategy. In a childhood home where tension was always one wrong move away, staying small, staying sorry, staying agreeable was genuinely protective. The problem is, that strategy doesn't turn off when the environment changes. So now they're adults, in safe relationships, in neutral situations, and the old system is still running, still scanning, still bracing, still reaching for sorry before anyone even reacts. And here's where it gets interesting. Most people assume that people who over-apologize just have low self-esteem, that they don't value themselves enough. But that's not the full picture. A lot of people who apologize constantly are highly emotionally intelligent. They're deeply aware of how their presence affects others. They pick up on the smallest shifts in tone, body language, and energy. The apology isn't coming from emptiness. It's coming from hypervigilance. Their nervous system is working overtime, constantly monitoring for the first sign of tension and trying to neutralize it before it grows. The sorry isn't weakness, it's armor. If this is already making sense, stay with it. Subscribe if you want more psychology content that actually explains the patterns beneath the behavior. There's a lot more to uncover on this channel. Over time, this pattern carries a quiet cost. When you apologize for things that don't need apologizing for, you start sending yourself a message that your presence is an inconvenience, that your needs require an excuse, that who you are needs to be constantly softened for other people's comfort, and you start to believe it. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a slow background belief that you are slightly too much or slightly not enough, and that sorry is the safest way to move through the world. The relationships this creates tend to be unbalanced. People who over-apologize often attract people who never apologize at all, because the dynamic fits. One person is always managing the emotional temperature. The other person rarely has to, and the person apologizing rarely realizes they've been doing all the emotional heavy lifting. So if you find yourself saying sorry before anyone is even upset, it's worth asking where that reflex came from. Not to judge it, not to fix it overnight, but to see it clearly. Because that apology that comes before anything goes wrong, that's not about the person in front of you. That's an old message playing on repeat. A nervous system still protecting you from a tension that no longer exists. And once you see that clearly, the sorry starts to mean something different. It was never really about being wrong. It was about staying safe. If this explains something about yourself or someone you know, subscribe. Every video on this channel goes one layer deeper into the patterns that quietly shape who we are and how we move through the world.